Hello and welcome to the first episode of ToMakeItGo. So, the goal of this endeavor really is to see how well I am at pair programming. And for today, you guys get to be my test audience. And at the moment, I realize there's no one out there, so this is just a shout into the void. But it is going to give me a way to look at what I'm doing, see if how I'm communicating while I program. Because I've noticed that when pairing, I will often just go quiet, which isn't particularly helpful for anyone because it means I've stopped communicating my ideas and what I'm thinking and how I'm looking at code. So I'm going to attempt to build a web application from the ground up. I'm not going to be using any library, or I'm not going to be using that many libraries, mostly because I want to walk the same path that people have walked before me when building things like front controllers, database layers, because these are common tools that we use on a day-to-day basis when we build software, and I don't entirely understand some of the decisions we've made. So I'm going to try and walk some of the paths that people have to get to where we are with these common tools. So to start this, I'm going to be attempting to make simple design decisions leading up to how a front controller should look, in my opinion. This may not be anywhere close to what anyone else thinks the world should look like, but, well, they can go make their own stream. So, my goal is to make these things last about a half an hour, which coincidentally is the same time as a tomato timer, if you are into that sort of thing. Okay, so I like how Jersey handles stuff for a front controller, so let's just make a sample gateway. Well, endpoint is a better word. So I want to be making something that looks like this is going to be an endpoint. I'm using annotations to just see how this goes, because I actually really like annotations instead of config files, because it puts your configuration into your code where you can see it. It does have the downside of exploding it out into lots of files instead of one file, which is the difference between, say, a route file or a direction I'm going to go. But, again, this is just an endeavor. So we're going to say our endpoint answers any event that is sent up to the server that goes to an address like endpoint. So this is going to be answering HTTP calls that are in the form of, in my case, it is ToMakeItGo.com/endpoint. Well, really, I'm in a serverlet context that looks like this. So this guy is going to be responsible for answering any HTTP requests that come up to that URL. To be more pedantic, but it's not. So our goal is to answer stuff like that. Okay. So I like that. It's simple. It's the endpoint that we've talked to. We're also going to need something that is start all those with capital letters. Just because I started it, I'm going to be consistent. So now we have an endpoint. What is this going to do? Answer. Okay, so right now the idea is that the description on the endpoint is going to be what you get if you were to call options on this endpoint. So options is one of the HTTP methods that are predefined. Well, predefined is a bit loose since HTTP is a bit odd, but, well, jumbled. So this is going to be what you see if you call options, along with what I'm hoping will be the methods that are available at this URL. So when someone makes a call up to options, they'll see this endpoint, or my endpoint answers empty calls to the endpoint and returns something. I don't quite know what that something's going to be yet, because this is all just on the cuff. Okay. So now I want public void. We're just going to call this method handle get. I want to say handle get. It's going to be a little bit of meta information so that I know that I want to this method when I'm going to use it. I'm going to use this method to handle routing. So endpoint will get you to this file, handle will get you to this method, or additionally, I may make it so that it'll get you somewhere else. So something like at use case, sure, and then class. So, and I also need, so this would be who's actually going to do the work, because I'm not particularly sure that I wish to have my starting point in this method itself. I'm kind of cheating here because I'm going to be using my method not as an actual method, but just as a stub. So this is so at the end of the day, this is really just a table in code that is going to handle my coming in and my going. So coming in is to say, hey, I handle this event and I have these 3 different methods that I can dispatch to. And this is just going to handle the dispatch. Or this is going to be a declaration of how the dispatching is going to be handled. Okay. And there's one more thing I need to have. That is going to be render with. I think this is just going to be another class. So render class. Render object? Sure. Oh, a generic word followed by a generic word. I'm doing good. So use case.class, render.class. Okay. So I like that idea because now we would have handle post, use case render handle post. We could also do something crazy and start defining our own HTTP methods. So handle list. And look at that. So at this point, we should start defining some of these annotations so that our compiler stops yelling at us. So let's get to that. Okay. So public at interface look, it found it. Okay, yeah, we're gonna move that out there because I don't like how it has done this. That's not particularly good, and it does give me a starting place though, so we will be okay with it for now. And I actually want to make that a string array of values. The reason I'm making it a string array of values is because, well, 2 events or 2 URLs could eventually map to the same thing. So, for example, let's say we want to think about routes in the manner so we have an event that looks like this. I could also want this to map to it, so I can go yeah. So slash endpoint, so I handle slash endpoint and I handle slash endpoint slash. The distinction is a little bit weird. I could have taken care of that for you higher up, but I think I'm going to make the user deal with it for now. It also gives me an excuse to see if I can make my routing work to handle more than, or have one endpoint handle more than one URL, which I think is a cool feature. It may not be, but we're going to see how this goes. So add description. If I could type, it would be easier. Description. So I'm not sure. I promise I do know what I'm doing. Ish. Half programmed in Java before, anyways. Okay. That's description. Make sure we spelled it the same. Okay. It's going to have string value. Again, this is just more meta information that I am holding on to make the compiler happy, so it compiles. Then we get another public at interface. Okay, so the one thing I haven't done to these and the annotations that I've defined so far is I have not yet put the at retention policy on there, or any restrictions onto where they technically can live. So annotations have the ability to live on top of class type objects, which you can think of as classes or interfaces, which are classes or interfaces, or they can live off of fields, methods, method parameters, all sorts of good places for them. We will be using a bit of that stuff quite liberally. So what I was saying is, at retention, we want this to last to runtime. The only target, yeah. So the only thing I want it to be able to live on is a type. Types are again interfaces or classes. I'm going to do that because I like the smaller one first, even though it doesn't actually matter what order these live on. I also want the description to live on type. However, I'm going to also allow it to live on top of a method, because I may want to add more description to what the difference is between a get and a post, and that will give me a way of doing that. Okay. Handle. I actually think we can. No magic scoping for us. Okay. So I have 2 more to go. Use case. I don't know that I like the use case there, but we will keep it for now. I kind of just want to say use handle. I have handle. But strictly speaking, handle should be method type. Yeah, we'll keep going for now. So this is going to take. For now, we're going to say class type question mark, so that's any type of class if you're not particularly familiar with Java generics. If you're not particularly familiar with Java, what I'm doing here is not how you usually program in Java. This is basically just defining a bunch of metadata that I will be using later. You'll see how I use it later in coming episodes, because I don't think I will get that far in the next 20 minutes or so, but it'll at least give me a goal to get to. So again, keep the retention time runtime around. So that means it won't get murdered when I go to compile. Okay, one more interface, public interface, render with. So the reason I'm defining a renderer is that after we handle the use case, we're going to ask that someone goes and renders it out. So we're going to have an HTTP response come in. We're going to route to this file, or to a file, then to that method, and then we're going to dispatch off. That they will then go do whatever that work needs to be done. Then we're going to take that whatever work the result was from the work and dump it back out, because that's what you would expect for a standard HTTP request to do. What you told it to do, or throw an exception. We'll have to worry about that coming up later, because it is very important if we're going to define our own system that we actually get errors coming out of it. Oh, how cute. So right now that would just be invalid, but we're going to leave it now so we haven't compiled it. Control F6? F6. Nope. What is the key command to move you out? F6, just F6. I don't care. So now I'm going to move all of these guys out of here because they really don't belong in any gateway. We'll eventually start moving them to their own packages and start caring more about how stuff looks as we go. But for the sake of simplicity, I built them in line, or as annotations. It's always cool that when you find stuff like that, it just works. Okay. So now we also have this. Okay. So let's say get returns the word handled by get. Okay. Just so you get a look of what I think I want everything to start looking like. I don't know how we're gonna get rid of those because I'm assuming my layout will tell you have get, so at least I hope we'll get it. So that should be So I think that well here we're gonna say method because it is the outward. We're not gonna capitalize it like that because that would just be ridiculous. Okay, so method get handler. I like handler. Just renderer. So how we're gonna handle our thing, what we're going to allow to dump out, and a method. So now, I like that. Yeah. Ooh, it's very pretty. Okay. So now let's see if we can start building things. All right. Yes. Let's start seeing if we can rip this apart and get the annotations back out and away, and then start handling some of the basic routing. But even before we do that, I think we should narrow the restriction on handler and renderer, because right now they're just going to take whatever kind of class you want to throw in there. Like right now you can see I've just tossed in the annotation itself. So that isn't actually going to serve anyone's best interest by leaving it that broad. I think I should define an interface to restrict what a handler looks like and what a renderer looks like, so that people don't just try shoving anything in there, and that way I have stuff to call later on, a known method to execute after instantiation. So let's go build a class. Put it here. Okay, so FC, now that you've seen it, is just a simple servlet. HTTP servlet, all it's doing is writing out the path info. So I'm actually in a bit of a project right now that I started to do this. It is, well, the goal of this whole thing is to build a simple website, really. Well, web application. If it was a simple website, I would actually just be using, well, HTML, JavaScript, and PHP, because they picked up for my server side if I needed to do anything complicated, or just really HTML to mock it up. But we're going to go all crazy on for now and use the biggest hammer we can. Okay. So, and just so you guys know, I'm not crazy. This is down here in the web root. I do actually have an index. I'll show you what that looks like. I will warn you, I am not a particularly great UI designer, so at the moment it's just an empty page. Look, little buttons. I've imported Font Awesome. So the goal is to host just about everything I build here on ToMakeItGo.com. Yeah. ToMakeItGo.com. I have set that up. My fav icon didn't work out there. I wonder why. No, don't distract. Okay. Yeah. That is where we're going. We're going to make that look not like it does now. Hopefully it'll be nice and filled out. So, we do have a goal. To build a simple blog. Now, if you wish to build your own blog and don't want to go through all the trouble of doing this, WordPress is a perfectly fine application, and you should consider using it before you reinvent the wheel, just like me. Okay. But for now, I'm going to act like I'm special and I don't have to obey those rules. We're going to take all these annotations and put them in an anno file, because right now they're cluttering some stuff up. I don't know that I like that I've named my annotation handler, and then it also has a handler. I don't want to say interface. Yeah, I'm gonna just live with that for now. But we're gonna make this an interface. So come back up here. So handler is going to be a question mark that extends handler, and it's not going to be that handler. It's going to be to make it go dot web dot handler. Okay, so that should cause. Well, this should be fine. Something's mad. Something mad is this dude. Nope. This guy. Yeah. See? Now we can get a compiler error whenever we go to build it, because I've added restrictions to the annotation itself. So now it can't be this guy. It would have to be, for our purposes, we're just going to make. Yeah, we'll put it in here. So right now I'm going to build a simple class. It's going to extend handler, or implement handler, sorry. Ooh, look, it's fully quantified because I have two things with the same name. This is why I didn't particularly want to call it that. Ah. We're going to do the same thing with that. It's going to extend renderer. We're going to create interface renderer in that package. All nice. And then we're going to put that here. And we go to this guy. We are going to say, that's nice. Not simple renderer. That would be really, well, that would be an interesting decision. So question mark extends. Renderer. There we go. So now we have something that will, on the very surface, compile it as a way of looking at it. Okay. So now we have to start making these things do something. So I'm going to go into this interface and give it an actual way of handling it. So what it's going to get is going to be an HTTP response, the method, well, the class of the gateway, the method, the HTTP response, the HTTP request. I think that'll give us a place to start. So it's going to get us a method, handle, well, it's actually going to handle object. So we're going to return an object. It's going to be whatever the result of the unit of work that you wanted to do is, and then it's going to pass that off to the renderer. So you have to have something to pass off to the next guy. In this case, I don't actually think I need to give you the response. You will only get the request. Okay, so we will appropriately give our handler a handle method. It's going to take a class. I don't have anything. I don't particularly care. So this is going to be the endpoint. It's going to take a method, a Java reflection method. That is going to be the method that is dispatched to, and it's going to take an HTTP servlet request. That's going to be the request. Okay, so from this, we don't need the word public here. I'm in a public interface. Everything on an interface is publicly exposed. That should be enough. Okay. Now, I like where that's going. Now I'm going to go into renderer and make it do roughly the same thing, except in our case, renderer is going to have a render. I guess we should make that renderer. Because we have handler and renderer, yeah. Oh no, I've made this class not compile anymore. It doesn't implement my method. So, nice. Null object returned. Something. Okay, handle it. Oh, so whenever something gets underlined in red, it means something hasn't compiled or is in an improper form, that it's upset IntelliJ enough to warn me. Because I have the fanciest text editor. Okay, so now, this point, I need the same type of thing. So this is just going to be void because I don't particularly care what the renderer renders. And at that point, it should have closed the HTTP response and done its job and been done. Okay, so you're going to get a render. You are going to take the same class that invoked it, because there may be additional metadata that you want to define on your own, some sort of annotation or tagline, some sort of annotation, or even if you want to go off the class names, go crazy. I don't know. I won't judge you. That's not true. I will. Okay. So we're going to method, endpoint, and we're going to take the object that the last guy gave us. So this is just going to be the result to render. Or just to render. I like that. To render. You may catch something a bit of my naming. To make it go, to render. I have certain things that appeal to me. To give you the response. No. This handler gets the request. You get the thing. You get the object render. And we'll also give you the HTTP servlet response. Okay. So now, just so you know, I don't intend for you to write your own renderer and handler every time. I'm hoping to make that more generic so that you only have to have maybe one or two, depending on how many ever types of things you want to render out. So, same with the handler. I will expect to only have one of these guys. I just wanted to make it more generic now, so that people can implement things so you can go, and so you can swap out my behavior, because I will not always make the correct decision for people. So, this is the beginning of what I think these should start to look like. Okay. There are about 5 minutes left for as much as I would like to go, and I wonder how much further I can get. So at the moment, you haven't actually seen me write any real code. I have just defined ways of routing some stuff. And I don't even think this needs to be a class. Whoa. Might need to be. This dude. Type is not interfaces. I have lied to you. Let's read the Java doc as to what it is. Okay, it says interface, class interface including type annotation. So you shouldn't be mad at me. It's because. And now I just get to make these go away. Good luck cleanup work. You're gonna see that. You're gonna see me do stuff like that a lot. And these will no longer live here. Those will get deleted in the end. I'm also going to tell IntelliJ that yes, everything here is used. I'll have to do that again because I didn't quite get it that way. Okay. I think I can work with that. Well, I do. Okay, so I lied. Handler, you'll write your own every single time because that's just the unit of work you're going to do. Where is it? Because I don't actually want you to know about a request. Okay. So this is probably going to change because at the end of the day, I want you to be right. I want me to be writing things that handle use cases using interfaces and higher level objects. I don't actually want to ever have to know that I am writing code in a servlet container, because that will lead me to questionable decisions. Well, it'll make my highest level boundary begin to leak further into my code if I pass an HTTP servlet request around, and I don't particularly like that. And I especially don't want the average developer playing, the average developer, that I mean me, playing with classes and methods to figure out what you want to do for your just normal, like, I want to go to the database and grab a field and put it on the and return to the caller. So some work will be done for my handler. For example, it may actually get another annotation that this guy will get to look at. So we'll have to decide that later. So like at handler gets an at. We'll get an annotation called like execute, and it'll go execute class. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I mostly want people to have to work with things that look like this. Class work worker. Execute turn for now. And then this is going to be request. Or what request would look like this. So a request is going to actually just be something with, say, like an integer. You set up an integer, get ID. So your request is going to get ID, and you're going to get whatever you wanted to do your work with, and it's going to be handed. You're going to get an ID off. So this get ID would come up in the HTTP response as like an ID field, or a list of IDs if you wanted to do that. So I want to be able to work with stuff like this when I'm dealing with normal, not framework level operations, because this is the easiest thing I can get to work with in Java for my day-to-day uses. So now I need to think about how this is going to work. Also, it may be really, really handy if, say, the worker was instantiated with some helper objects. So that is what we will be thinking about the next time I do this. For now, I think I have a simple start of where I need to go and where I want to be. So I'm looking at my time. It's about out. So that's one timer. Thank you for staying with me this long if you have been. And now I have written no actual functioning code. We will do that potentially next time. So I'm going to take a break now, because that's my timer going off to indicate that I have done too much typing and now need to go take a rest break. Okay? So this has been an interesting experience, and I am looking forward to reviewing what I have said and done and rambled on about. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I am now going to sign off. Goodbye.